Hey guys, this is Sharad with REsimpli, bringing a very special guest on this call, a longtime REsimpli user, Ephrem Bekere. Ephrem, welcome to the call. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Sharad, for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining the call. Ephrem, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you live? What market do you invest in? And what kind of investing do you do?
My name is Ephraim, like you said, and I am based out of central Pennsylvania. I live in a small county called Lancaster County, and we
Okay.
do most of our investments up here in central Pennsylvania. So we specialize in value add multifamily property, small multifamily between 4 to 8, 9 units is
Okay.
our main. And then we also do wholesaling, where we wholesale properties, flip a few, but mostly just stick to wholesaling in here in Central PA and also in some parts of South Carolina, like Columbia and Lexington and so forth.
Okay. Got it. How long have you been investing for?
Since 2020 is when I started doing it full time. So I quit my
Okay.
job right before, actually, right during COVID. So
Okay. Perfect. Did COVID have anything to do with it or it's just like coincidence?
it was kind of coincidence, but it kind of more validated it.
Got it. Okay. Awesome, man. Congratulations on all the success. What's your current team size?
Current team size, so it's me, and then my wife, she works alongside me as well. We have an acquisitions manager. He lives in South Carolina. So for the wholesaling stuff, we do everything. We started doing it virtually about year and a half, 2 years ago. So he handles all of the acquisitions both in South Carolina and PA. And then we have a team of virtual assistants for lead management, outbound
Got
cold
it.
calling, SMS is our main source of marketing.
Yeah. And I just talked to another investor before this call
Yeah.
from South Carolina. He said South Carolina has made wholesaling illegal. Is that correct? That you cannot.
Yeah, they're coming down. They're out of all the states, they're probably the hardest on it. So they did pass
Got,
a bill to make
got
assignment. Well, it's a gray line, but to make assignment somewhat illegal if you get a fee from it. And so there's still
okay.
attorneys, and most attorneys won't close assignments, but there's still ways around it. You can still double close with some attorneys.
Got
And
it.
so the marketing of it, which has always had a gray line anyway, marketing a
Right.
wholesale deal.
Okay.
Um, but we still do deals. We just this one is a flip. We just bought one today, but we're still doing assignments or not assignments. We're having to double close
Okay.
in South Carolina.
And between the two markets that you're in, do you mind sharing how many deals are you doing per month or per year?
Yeah, so we don't do a lot of deals. Again, our focus is apartments, so we're doing about 2 to 3 deals a month.
Okay. And you're doing
Yeah.
like higher margin, like especially on the apartment side, those got to be higher margin
Yeah.
deals.
The apartments we actually keep them.
Oh,
So we
nice.
own the apartments.
Even
Yeah, so
better.
we own about 50 apartments here in
Oh,
Pennsylvania.
wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then our PA market, the small county, but our margins are pretty good here. I think an
Nice.
average wholesale fee here this year has been 25. Last year was about 20,000. So our average margins here are pretty good.
Cool. Awesome. Sounds like you're not going back to your full-time job.
No,
Yeah.
no, not anytime soon.
What are some of the marketing channels you're using in your business for both apartments and for the wholesaling side?
Yeah, so we're very heavy on cold calling and SMS. SMS still working for us. There's a lot of regulations for sure, but it still does, great for us. For apartments, still do cold calling. We've done direct mail, sending postcards in the past. We're not as consistent with that, but we've certainly gotten deals from sending just a postcard to apartment owners and getting a response from that.
Nice. And so speaking about your experience with REsimpli, how long have you been using REsimpli for?
I've been using it since 2020, I believe, or yeah, so beginning of 2021 is when we started
Okay.
using it in January. I remember transitioning from an old CRM, and putting all of our leads into Simply.
Okay.
And then we did switch accounts. So we ended up getting another one after a partnership split. But yeah, I've been using Simply since probably 2021. So for the last 3 years
Right.
is how long we've been
What,
using.
so you were using something else before. What were some specific challenges or pain points that you were facing before deciding to switch to REsimpli?
It was a very cheap CRM that a mentor had recommended. He's like, if you're getting started, use this. I think it was called Less Annoying CRM or something like
Okay.
that. All it did was task management. So I'm using my cell phone to call, or I'm using something like CallRail or Mojo to make my calls, and so it wasn't integrated with anything. And yeah, really, all it did was just task management.
Yeah. And what were the main factors that led you to choose REsimpli over other software that were available on the market?
Yeah, so the fact that you guys are always developing something, I think stood out to me because we were thinking about another CRM that a lot of people use in this market, in real estate. And it was between, I think it was between Podio and then between Simply. And the idea of trying to learn something that is constantly, that we would have to improve ourselves. I didn't have time for that.
Yeah, no, I
Uh,
totally understand that. Yeah.
and so the fact that, hey, it's like you guys are constantly pushing out content, pushing out improvements and stuff like that is the main reason that led me on to you guys versus going on to Podio.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's been about 3 years since you've been using REsimpli, so it's been a while. But how was your onboarding process for you and your team? And
Yeah.
what do you feel about the support that we and resources we have available now?
So when we onboarded, we were still a smaller team back then, but everybody that I worked with, I spoke with at the time was super helpful. Transferring our leads wasn't as bad as we thought. I think we were kind of worried about what that would look like. And so, transferring our leads wasn't complicated at all. You guys in the back end team made it really smooth to do that for us. And then just, it was on us to kind of make sure it was good to go after that. Even learning a lot of these platforms, when you switch platforms, there's a learning curve is huge.
Right.
And so that we kind of went into that thinking, well, we're going to spend a lot of time trying to figure this out, but really within, a day or so, everybody on our team kind of figured out how to use it. And of course, now we don't use anything else.
Awesome, man. How has REsimpli helped you achieve your goals?
REsimpli has helped us with so many things in terms of, I can't tell you how many deals we've done. And I look at the lead date that it came in, I would say like 2021, and we closed on in 2024. And I can track like not only all of my notes, but like the time that we reached out to them, the time we gave them an offer, and the fact that we can see the property details just right there without going anywhere, huge.
Right.
And so, whether it's in our apartment invest, like we just bought a property end of June, and it's been in our system for at least 2 years. It was an apartment building.
Oh man, I love those deals. Yeah,
I'm
those are
like,
the
what the
best
heck?
ones.
And then I can go back and see like what happened. And like, this guy didn't want nothing to do with us. He's like, hey, don't text me back, whatever. And then somehow was still in our follow-up. And then, but he just had a better conversation with another person on our team versus say me. And I can still track that and see, hey, we thought this was not going to work out. And 2 years later, here we are closing on the property.
I love that. Yeah.
And so I just love seeing that. And we have so many of those. And the fact that we can, even the task management, I love the task management. We try to live based on the task management, of course, on new leads as well. But when you text somebody or follow up with somebody and they're like, oh my word, you just called me at the perfect time. Right.
Yeah.
Of course, because it's on our system, it can be
Yeah.
an auto follow up or it can be just us calling. But for them, it's like you can't imagine like, hey, my father just passed away last week and I was like looking for your number. Because, we've been nurturing them for, every 2-3 months for the last 2 years. And so, yeah,
No, I agree. I think
I don't know if we would
sometimes
have.
half of the battle is just staying in touch with these people. They're just like I tell people all the time, don't overcomplicate follow-up. Just call them and say, hey, just want to let you know how you're doing. And also I'm still looking to buy if anything's changed. And that's all. Like it's just staying on the radar. I think people get too afraid or anxious about, oh, what am I going to say? It just call,
Seriously.
check in. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Just that's what we do in our business.
Yeah, and it may seem annoying, but they're more grateful that
Yeah.
we're following. Yeah, but they'll tell me like, hey, okay, actually, I'm not ready, but can you actually follow up with me? And
Exactly.
I'm like, absolutely.
Exactly.
And then same with our team, just being able to see their like, when they're actually following up versus even when they're changing the task versus if they're doing it. Like before we weren't able to tell, did you do the task or did you just change the task? Like, we can see that all in the back end, or on our end, I should say. And so it makes it very transparent across the team.
Yeah. And then there's so much money in the follow-up. Like I personally just closed a deal a couple of months ago. It was in a pipeline for 400 odd days. We were willing to offer 110. We had all our notes, but we ended up buying it for 90 because their situation has changed. So they were more desperate. We bought it for 90, just put literally 10,000 into it. And we put it on the market for 180 and we are under contract for 190. So we're going to make like after all the close, like 75, 80,000 just from follow-ups. Like we didn't do nothing crazy, nothing like, oh, we have the secret sauce. It was just checking in with them. Hey, has anything changed with you? Let us know. If anything changes, we're still looking to buy. Like that's all we kept doing. And then we're going to make like 70, 80,000 on that deal. Yeah. Just from follow-ups.
Yeah, no, it's huge. It's made a huge impact on our business, just staying on top of our follow-up game.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then the peace of mind that you get, knowing that it's going to trigger, it's going to remind me when I need to take an action or when I need to follow up. I don't have to think about it. It just, I go in, it tells me, it sends me a reminder. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I can just sit back and kind of just do
Yeah.
that.
And I
Yeah.
handpick sometimes because I don't want 30 reminders a day. Like if there's special leads that I want to make sure I don't forget,
Yeah,
those are the ones I'm going to set a text reminder. So
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, so I know, oh, I need to call this person.
Yeah, I do exactly the same thing. Like just very specifically, it's I'm like, okay, I want to stay on top of these because these are like big, profit margin deals for us. Yeah. Ephraim, so looking like, let's say 18 months to 3 years down the road,
Yeah.
what are your future goals and how do you see REsimpli playing a role in achieving them?
Our goals in the next few years is to continue focusing more on not necessarily on the wholesaling and flips, but more on acquiring more rental properties. And so we'd like to grow our rental portfolio. We're at 50 now. We'd like to get to 100, start buying bigger units. And we see REsimpli helping us get there because without the follow-up, the right systems, and the right team, we won't be able to do that. And so I think some people don't think, I think some people treat the rental properties a little bit different than they would for like wholesaling or something like that. It takes the same level of marketing, same level of effort to buy bigger things.
Yeah,
So just incorporating that and having a really solid follow-up system, just geared a little bit different towards apartments, which is what
absolutely.
we like to do, what we like to invest in. And so that's our goal over the next few years is to grow our unit size to double what we have now and beyond that as well.
I love that, man. I love that. Yeah, it's just the way I look at it, keeping a rental, it's a different exit versus flipping it or wholesaling it, but the initial acquisition side,
It's the same.
pipeline should be the same. Yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
100% agree. Is there anything particular about REsimpli you think that sets it apart from other software in the market?
Yeah, for sure. The fact that, I don't want to say all in one, but you guys kind of have like an all-in-one solution. Like I love the fact that I can call my leads, I can text my leads, and not have to use my cell phone. All in one system. I think before I remember we were using CallRail. We don't have that anymore. And so the fact that I can just pull up a lead, call them from the app, is incredible. The notifications and new updates you guys have been awesome just to see them right on top of our any page. We can see the notifications and it makes it very easy to respond in a timely manner. And so
Yeah,
that almost feels like an all-in-one solution, where you don't need to go have another app. Some of these CRMs you still need to go get a third-party app. So you're dealing with two different companies. So
yeah,
one to help
exactly.
you with the calling, one to deal with the leads. And so for me, if I have any questions about any of those, I'm coming to one company, not like two, three different companies.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was our goal from the beginning was to have all true all-in-one software. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing that. My
Yeah.
final question, what would you
Yes.
say to someone who's listening to this and is on the fence about using REsimpli in their business?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. I would 100% do it. Switching CRMs is hard. The initial part is hard. Transferring your leads is not fun, but it's 100% worth it if you want to be more efficient. And so if you're on the fence, do it. There's no yeah, I don't know how else to say it. Do it.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for sharing
absolutely.
that. But if
Yep.
someone listening to this wants to connect with you, learn more about your journey, what's the best
Yeah.
way for them to do that?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on Instagram. It's probably the best way. It's Ephrem B. So that's EPHREMB is how you reach out to me and see what we're up to. We try to stay up on content. Not easy, but yeah, you
Cool.
can see what we're up
Yeah,
to there.
perfect. We'll put a link to that in our show notes. Ephraim,
Perfect.
thank you so much for connecting and
Absolutely.
coming on the call. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks.